Girls, good evening. On behalf of General Stephen Townsend, who took over as the new TRADOC commander in March, and Command Sergeant Major David Davenport of the United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, welcome to the 86th season opener of Music Under the Stars. As he said, I'm Paul Beninati, the Deputy Chief of Staff for TRADOC, and how great is it to be here tonight to share this evening with all of you. Is there anybody, yeah, actually, we can applaud for that. So is there anyone out here who actually has been around for 86 years that might have possibly seen some of these things? So the Army's Training and Doctrine Command Band actually has an 87-year relationship with the Greater Hampton Roads area that dates back to 1931. The band was known as the 50th Army Band, the United States Continental Army Band, before having its name changed to TRADOC Band 10 years ago. And as many of you know, we almost didn't make it back this year as personnel cuts threatened to eliminate our band. But as of today, it actually looks like we will be able to keep a band here at Fort Eustis. Our good fortune, though, comes at the expense of others. Of the 10 Army bands that the Training and Doctrine Command had 1 year ago, by this time next year, we'll only have half of that, 5 bands across the TRADOC footprint. But thank you so much for coming out to be with us tonight and for your continued support of the band. The history of military bands dates back almost as far as recorded history of civilization itself. As colonists arrived in America from Europe, they brought many of their military traditions with them, to include drummers performing for militia drills. In 1756, the Regiment of Artillery Company in Philadelphia, commanded by then Colonel Benjamin Franklin, marched with over 1,000 men accompanied by military musicians, making the first recorded appearance of an American military band in the colonies. On June 14, 1775, the Second Continental Congress established the Continental Army for the purpose of common defense. And the resolution that established the Army began with, resolved that 6 companies of expert riflemen be immediately raised in Pennsylvania, 2 in Maryland and 2 in Virginia, and that each company consist of a captain, 3 lieutenants, 4 sergeants, 4 corporals, a drummer or trumpeter, and 68 privates. So from day one of the Army's existence, bands have been an important part of our team. And as Dr. Jones said, actually today, June 14th, is our birthday. 243 years old today. Now, during the early years of our nation, our fledgling Army was a ragtag formation of patriots who challenged the might of the strongest military on the globe to secure the freedom of our founding patriots and to establish a nation that was unlike any else on earth at that time, where the concept was that all should be free and treated as equals. And wow, our Army sure has come a long way in 243 years. Today, that force has transformed into the best trained, best led, and most experienced Army in the world. Yeah, you can applaud for that too. The United States Army colors have 189 campaign streamers marking battles from the Revolutionary War to today's war on terror. But we take care to always remember that in our ranks is the most precious commodity that our nation has to offer. Your sons and daughters, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, friends and neighbors, mothers and fathers, who come to us from all across the country in every walk of life. Just like those early patriots, they raise their hand to serve voluntarily. Their stories are inspiring, and when woven together, comprise the history and promise of 243 years of excellence. Dr. Jones said that not only is it the Army's birthday today, but this year, earlier, we marked the 100th anniversary of Fort Eustis. So Fort Eustis, like many bases, was stood up and activated to meet the demands that were needed to support our European partners and allies. But just like 243 years ago, today's soldiers are the cornerstone of the Army profession. As Army professionals, we're grateful for the opportunity to maintain the trust and confidence of you, our greatest supporters, while adding to our legacy of strength. As we sit here tonight enjoying this beautiful spot as a free people who live the American dream of personal choice, prosperity, and promise, please keep our men and women that are serving in harm's way in remote places all over the world and their families in your thoughts and prayers. Today, there are more than 180,000 soldiers that are serving abroad in more than 145 nations throughout the world that are helping others to share a small slice of the freedoms that we enjoy. They and their families are true heroes for what they have volunteered to do, especially at a time when fewer and fewer Americans and their families have a direct connection to the military. To the Gold Star families present here this evening, those who have lost a loved one in the line of duty to this country. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. No words of condolence can ever begin to adequately console the survivor's grief. Please know that we have the greatest respect and appreciation for your contributions and sacrifice. And we are always proud, beyond what words can express, to honor you and your loved ones for the sacrifices that were made. Some lives are measured in time. Others are measured in what they accomplished. And your loved ones accomplished much and earned an eternal spot in the history of our nation for being among the greatest heroes. We are honored by your presence here this evening. Please, if you could, a round of applause for our Gold Star families. Occasions like this evening help us foster good relationships and bring our military closer to the public that it serves. Army bands preserve tradition and heraldry while serving as ambassadors of public diplomacy and recruiting for the Army and the U.S. military as a whole. At a time when less than 1% of the nation's population serves in the military, the band serves as the only connection to the Army for a large percentage of the population, unlike us here at Hampton Roads, who enjoy a very large military population. Tonight, there will most assuredly be stars up in the sky for us to be under later. But until then, we're going to bask in the glow of the stars that are sitting right here on this stage. We're so very fortunate to have some of our nation's most talented musicians on this stage with us tonight. While musicians are typically a very modest group, these men and women love to make music, and they love their country. All of the performance in front of you are soldiers. They do what soldiers do. They meet all the same requirements of every other soldier, and are even given a combat mission if needed. They go to the field. They qualify with their rifles. They conduct rigorous physical training. They know how to build a defensive perimeter, but they also happen to represent some of the most skilled and talented musicians that we have in our great United States. They've just chosen to serve in uniform and bring joy to others in places like this, but also in places where no one would ever choose to go, under some of the most dangerous conditions imaginable. No matter where our soldiers are deployed, you'll find an Army band close by. I could talk about the Army, our soldiers, families, and the talented professionals that serve the Army bands all evening long, but I have talked way too long and will likely never get asked back again. But before I leave, I am happy to announce that this year's Music Under the Stars concert series, which initially was scheduled for tonight's performance only, will now add 5 more dates this summer. We will have a Music Under the Stars concert on the 28th of June. Unfortunately, there will not be any concerts in July while the band takes some well-deserved leave and reconstitutes a little. And we'll be back with 4 more concerts on Thursday evenings in August, all ending with a season finale on the 23rd of August for a show that you won't want to miss. Now, due to the cuts that we had to take, there'll be a lot of transition among the band this summer. What that means is that many of the musicians on stage tonight, and even our band commander and conductor, Major Randy Bartell, another incredibly talented musician, will leave us before the summer's over. I ask that you please take that into account as you express your appreciation here this evening. Just know that the applause that you give to many of the performers present this evening may be for their last performance with this band and here at Fort Eustis. So please thank them for what they have done, not just for this show, but during their eternal time here at Fort Eustis. But now, Maestro, let's get on with the show.